Today we're talking about Medicaid costs and how New Jersey compares to the rest of the country. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, explain to us a little bit about the Hall Institute and your role in public policy.
Well, the Hall Institute is a new public policy center. We're nonpartisan, we're not-for-profit. We were founded by a philanthropist named George Hall. And our purpose is to really put forward, first on our website and then elsewhere, the types of papers, the type of op-ed pieces that we're going to be looking at, and then also solutions to the major problems that the state faces.
Tuitions have increased by over 180% in the last 15 years.
The reason, according to this study by the Hall Institute, a policy group, is that the state used to fund 90% of college costs. Now aid covers around half. Colleges get the rest from tuition.
State House this morning, the Hall Institute of Public Policy in New Jersey released results on a report that explored the negative long-term impacts on the state if residents can no longer afford public colleges and universities.
Dignan called before his committee an author of a Hall Institute report who says public colleges are becoming too expensive, even for the middle class. The committee chairman says he expects to use the Hall report to craft legislation that he hopes will lead to college cost savings.
One comment, though, as a result of year three, if you're people who watch this, we looked at Sherry Galeed's stuff on your material on your website, and we actually went into New York at Columbia to meet with her. She was very helpful in helping us with the economics of the Vitale plan.
Good. Well,
she was outstanding.
The Hall Institute's always glad to play a benevolent role in, public policy.
You had a real role in this particular
Very
one.
good. It's good to hear.
No, I think it goes back to what we had addressed earlier, that the government really has to step up to the plate because Americans are living longer, and you had just given me an interesting number that half of the people that are experiencing loss are over 80 years old, and as Americans live to be over 100 now, and they're not being compensated for the hearing aids, a lot of people won't be buying them.
But why not pressure State Senators Sharp James and colleague Wayne Bryant, both indicted in separate corruption cases?
Senate has always been more of a club, and so they therefore tend to rally around their own.
Thank you so much. We're going to stay in the New Jersey race, of course, the hot race right now. We're joined by someone who probably knows New Jersey politics as well as anyone, Richard Lee from the nonpartisan Hall Institute of Public Policy. You had in the past worked with some Democratic administrations. But, Rich, as you listen to our reporting from Pat and Brian tonight, one of the things Obama did in his presidential election was turn out first-time voters, certainly the base, and then some. The early reporting, we're waiting to see if the base turned out, and Corzine needs that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think in order for John Corzine to win, he has to win by big margins in the heavy Democratic counties, Essex, Camden, Hudson. And what we're seeing, I know Brian is reporting that the margin in Essex seems to be down by quite a bit, so that would not bode well for him at this early stage of the campaign.
And the political power panel who took us through our election coverage last night is back to talk about the results. Here with me are, again, Richard Lee, the Director of Communications for the Hall Institute of Public Policy and Professor at Rutgers University.
And another thing worth noting here, the Hall Institute that we use a lot here, they did a straw poll down at the League and Municipality trying to test the presidential campaign things that are coming up on February 5th. As you can see here, the straw poll, unscientific as it is reflecting essentially a 3-to-1 or more advantage, favoring Hillary Clinton over Barack Obama. And the rest are basically also-rans here, Edwards, Biden, and Richardson. And for the Republicans, coming up here, it's no surprise he's leading in the polls in New Jersey also. And at large, Rudy Giuliani by basically 4-to-1, I guess, over Fred Thompson and McCain and the rest. It's surprising to see McCain not really tracking that well in this state, where you would have thought that would have been the case here. And look at Romney way down at the bottom. Hardly scientific, but worth noting in the poll, and we appreciate them getting these results to us from the Hall Institute. And, of course, February 5th.
An appointed U.S. senator does not have as great as an advantage as a senator who's been elected. He still is at an advantage, but not nearly as great as one who's been elected.
It was that agenda for the 2008 campaign that was the focus of presentations during the panel discussion. Women, Work and the Economy, co-sponsored by the Hall Institute, a nonprofit Trenton-based think tank, and Rutgers Center for Women in Work. The Hall Institute says it'll take the information developed at today's forum and, in an open letter to the candidates, included among issues the Institute says need to be addressed.
We actually have a poll about some of the other people.
Which we got at the League of Municipalities here, right? Which is where we went down. We talk about, and you look at here, these are of all the officials in New Jersey, when you were asked, who would you like to see governor? And here you see Christie, the top of the list, going down. Surprisingly, look at that. Corzine, 44 out of there. And this is an incumbent governor who looks to run. And you can see there's a lot of antagonism, which we saw
202 people were asked, who would you like to see elected governor next year?
And by the way, it's not that reliable here. It's from our friends at the Hall Institute.
So it has had great viability, and I have been fortunate to be a lawyer that was one of the architects of its contents and one of its chief advocates, and a lawyer that many of people turn to, particularly partisans, my party, turn to enforce over the last 30 years.